All right, let's talk about what I've been using for products to do this project. I've been using Duplicolor, perfect match, and then I've been using Duplicolor acrylic enamel, not just acrylic. Acrylic enamel is a little bit harder finish, especially for a gas tank. And I've also talked to Duplicolor a couple of times about some of the challenges I've had before to work through this, so they've been a lot of help. And then at the very end, I actually will use Mother's California Gold Scratch Remover. And I use that with my 5000 grit sandpaper. I have tried in the past to use the rubbing or cutting compound after I put on my clear coat, and then gone to polishing compound to get rid of that. I still have a ton of scratch marks, and that's because the cutting compound is very abrasive, and it'll actually leave swirl scratch marks in your clear coat. I found the easiest way is to just cut it down with 5000 grit, use this, and it's absolutely glossy. And I'll show you that right now. All right, let's talk about application. It is very different to use a rattle can versus going to a body shop. At a body shop, they can control the air pressure, they can control the amount of paint coming out of the gun, and they can actually control the dry time, because when they're originally mixing the paint before they shoot it, they apply a dryer. And that's different than a rattle can, because a rattle can comes out at a certain percentage of pressure and product. And the other challenge is, as the can gets lower and lower in amount of both of those things, it actually sprays a little bit different. So rattle cans have their own challenges, and one of the things you need to try and do is put it in warm water, something around 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and that allows the paint to come out in more of a mist. All right, let's talk about prep and what you need to do to your gas tank to get ready to paint. You're going to be having it all primed. You're going to sand it down with at least 600 grit sandpaper. 400 leaves a little bit too scratchy marks, and it's much better with 600. And then after that's all nice wet sanded down with 600 grit sandpaper, you're going to go back and use soap and water and lather it up, because you want to get as much contaminants or oil or wax or whatever happens to be on it from your fingers, even the oil from your hands. Wash it down and then rinse it off, and then use isotopic alcohol. So you can dilute it, so it's 70% water and 40% isotopic alcohol. Whew, I think I need a drink. And you do a wipe down with that, and you can do a wipe down 3 or 4 times. Make sure you go in one direction. If you've used full strength, either the 70% isotopic alcohol or the 99% isotopic alcohol, you can leave streak marks. And especially when you get to your clear coat application, you're going to see those streak marks in your clear coat. So that's your prep, getting ready to do your base, and you follow the same procedure when you're getting ready to do each of your clear coats, because you don't want contaminants in there. And as soon as you get any kind of an oil contaminant, it'll do a fisheye effect, and you'll see little round dots everywhere, and that's just because it's dirty. Oh, and the other thing too is make sure that just before you do any of your painting, that you wipe it down with a tack cloth, so that gets rid of any of the dust. And the other advantage you can do with trying to eliminate some of the dust is have a confined area where you're doing the spraying. It's great not for ventilation, for breathing, but I have a huge plastic area that I've been spraying all my products in, and virtually no lint whatsoever, because it's all floating around in the air. It's actually my grow tent, which is in Canada here, we grow our own cannabis. So, but it's fabulous to have a confined area where you don't have a lot floating around. So that's your prep. All right, let's talk about applying the paint and or clear coat and the dry times in between. They tell you through Duplicolor or the manuals that you can apply your light coat first, wait 10 minutes, light coat, wait 10 minutes, medium coat, wait 10 minutes, heavy coat. I find there's not enough dry time in between them. Now you have to apply each coat within 2-hour window, but you're going to get that all done in half an hour. So to eliminate some of the problems that you're going to have with a curdling effect, what I'm recommending is a light mist, wait 10 minutes, light mist, wait 10 minutes, and a third light mist. That is not a lot of paint that you're putting on, but it allows dry times as well in between. Then you're going to wait 15 minutes, not 10, 15. You can't even wait 20 if you want. And you apply your medium coat. After you apply your medium coat, remember, not too much, because these 3 light coats that you put on here, there's not a lot of paint there, and you can get a reaction between the two of a curdling effect. So, not too heavy on the medium coat, then wait 20 minutes to 25 minutes before you put on your last heavy coat. That will eliminate all of those problems and also give you a much better application of being able to put it on a tank. Now, if you're shooting metallic, I would recommend you wait half an hour and actually go back and do the same process through your clear coat. So you're actually going to put one application of clear coat on the base in one day. Then wait 5 days and go back and do the same process of sanding it down with 1,000 grit sandpaper and actually doing the clear coat again. Light mist, light mist, light mist, medium, heavy coat. Wait 5 days, do a light sand down, and do another application of clear coat. The reason why I like to have a lot more applications of clear coat is because you're really not putting a lot of paint or clear coat on the tank every time you do it. And you really don't want runs to happen, because then it's just a mess to clean up those runs and start all over again, forget it. So we're trying to eliminate those problems. So here again, if you're applying 1 base coat and 3 clear coats, guaranteed that if you're doing that cutting down where you're getting that glossy finish, you're going to eliminate at least one of the applications of clear coat in sanding. You may even get into this other coat here halfway through, and if you've done a terrible job, you're going to cut right through that. So you really only have 1 clear coat application left that's on the tank. It's not really a lot of protection. So at least if you had this much clear coat, guarantees you're not going to go in and cut into your base coat. So that's the way I deal with it, and it is very simple, very easy, and it also eliminates a lot of the orange peel, because every time in between those applications of clear coats, you're going back and sanding, so you're actually eliminating some of the orange peel and making it a lot flatter. By making it a lot flatter, there's less to polish out at the very end. If you just apply paint, apply paint, apply paint, on one application, you're going to have a huge amount of orange peel, and you're really not going to fill in those valleys that you created. So when you try and cut it and get a nice beautiful polish, you'll actually cut out more of that clear coat than you can imagine, and even get down to the base. So there's a little bit of thought to how to stretch this out so you can apply it and not worry about destroying the base coat and having lots of clear on there when you finish. Okay, so this is after 3 light misted coats on the gas tank, and I'm about to shoot my medium coat. Looks like it's all sealed up nicely. This is metallic, so metallic actually does hide some of the imperfections if you're just doing like a solid paint color. So we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got all my clear coat on, and I'm starting to cut the top clear coat. And if you look right here, you can see there's very, very little dimple reflections, and yet you can see a little bit down here, and that's because I haven't sanded that enough. And it doesn't take very much to get to a point where it's completely flat, and that's where you want to be, so that you can go back and use your scratch remover and polish it up. But that's pretty typical for a little bit of orange peel in the tank itself. And as you start to sand it, which it doesn't take very much work to really, you can feel the difference in the sanding too, because when you start to do, a bit of a wet sand with this 5,000 grit, it doesn't flow across the tank very easily. And yet, it almost feels like it's a bumpy effect. And yet when you get over to here, it's very, very, very smooth because all these ripples are creating a bit of a bump effect. And you just be very careful. You don't take very much off to the point where you go back and check it and to see if it is flattened out completely and doesn't have any kind of a effect on it at all. So you just do a quick wipe down and you can see as it dries, oh, that's not very good. And then you go back and polish. There you go. So I'm going to show you here how easy it is to polish it up. So this is actually just after 5,000 grit. A little bit of the mother's scratch reducing compound. And I'm not going to do a huge amount. I'm just going to do a little. And then we just go back and we just do a light buffing here. And you can tell already, it's already a glossy finish. It still has some swirl marks in it, very, very fine, fine, fine marks in it. And the more you use the rubbing compound, the more you can take those out completely. But that's how quick you can turn this from the point of $5,000 to polishing. And I can see a lot of little fine scratch marks in here, which I can take out by using more of the mother's scratch removal compound. There you go.